I'm gonna swatch the flower palette, let you know if you should pass or play, walk you through this halo eye look step by step, and then tell you which color blushes and lipsticks I recommend that you pair with it. Hello, glowing goddess. I'm Donna with Beauty University, and I'm a professional makeup artist that's here to share practical techniques for women new to makeup. And even if you don't have this palette, you can still follow along and get inspo with the colors that you do own. If you want to jump straight into the tutorial and you don't want to see the swatches because you already have the palette, go right to the timestamp that's on the screen. And you can also go straight to the pairings too at the timestamp that just showed up on the screen. So we're going to swatch in the order that you see them here. So we're going to start with So Shy, which is a very metallic white shadow that I am obsessed with. Doesn't have the best saturation throughout, but that first swatch, so pretty. I don't know if you can see this, but it has like little bits of the purple iridescent shift to it. And I love iridescent shifts so much. It's my favorite thing about shadows. Next up, we have Pretty Flower, which is this lovely matte purple. Swatch it through. It also starts off really well. It doesn't have great consistency throughout, but I used it in my crease, as you're gonna see in just a few moments, and I really do like the way that it goes on. It blends really beautifully, so even though I don't have a really nice swatch all the way through, I can see here that I'm gonna get a lot of payoff. So what this tells me, because the swatch is not consistent, when you're applying this, you do want to use a brush that's a little bit more dense because that's going to give you the best payoff. Next up, we have Oh Gosh, which honestly I think is the prettiest one in this palette. It is a metallic as well, but it's purple, pink, it's got gold in it, and it's just, oh, and that is a swatch, my friend. That went around my entire wrist. Look at that. It's got gold, pink, purple, like just these three alone, I think is probably gonna make this palette worth it. Next, we have Little Slinker, which is also matte. I really like that the darker colors are more on the matte side because this is gonna help balance out definition because of the different textures. Also doesn't have the best swatch, as you can see. I have to really move it around. Like you'll see when I do the look, it ended up blending really nicely. So I'm not mad that the swatch is a little patchy because it went on really well. And it's just so pretty. I really have an obsession with pink and purple. They definitely are my favorite shadows to wear. All right, and the last color in this palette is Hibernating, which is the black one right here. And it's probably the one I'm gonna use the least because I don't really do a lot of black in my makeup. But the color itself is, I don't know if you're gonna be able to see this, but it's a black that has little bits of purple sparkles. Do you see that? This is my issue with shadows like this. So they look beautiful and you swatch them and you're like, ooh, color, look at all the glitters. But then you put it on and you don't really see the glitter. So I feel like it's a little misleading because you're like, I got a beautiful purple sparkly black eyeshadow. And then it's just black. So if you really want the glitter to show up, you really are gonna have to press this on, but I probably would just get another glitter that is pink and put it on top because you'll get better sparkle than what you see here. Overall, if you don't have this palette and you're considering it, I would give it a play because of the price. It's only $10, the colors are really pretty, and it's easy to go to from day to night because you've got all these light colors and then you can just use the black to zhuzh it up, make it a little bit more evening, a little more sexy. Now let's glow on and create this look. When you're getting started doing your eye makeup, I want you to keep a tissue close by. We keep a tissue because we're gonna dip our brush into the powder or into the eyeshadow. Then I always dab onto a tissue before I put on my face to help control the fallout. Another reason why I like this palette is it has a mirror, so I'll be able to just use this when I'm applying. Also makes it really good for travel. Okay, so we're gonna just go right into it and get started. I'm using the C510 from Crown. This is a flat eyeshadow brush, and I'm gonna go in with So Shy, which is this light color right here. Now I'm gonna take So Shy and I'm gonna put it all the way on my whole entire eyelid up into the crease. So we're gonna cover the entire eye area, getting the brush loaded with eyeshadow. Ooh, that is going on really nice. And as you can see, I'm covering my entire eyelid, pressing it to give it some pigmentation. And then when I'm applying this, we're creating a halo effect. So I do want it to go up as high as I can. I don't want to do any of the cut creasing or use concealer or anything like that. I want it to be, for lack of a better word, quick and easy. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make sure that we take this all the way up to our crease. So it's gonna go a little bit higher than when my eye is opened. Here, you see my whole eyelid. I am going above my eyelid all the way up to the bottom of my brow bone. And you're gonna see in a moment when I look straight at you why I did this. So I'm just making sure it's all saturated and even. So you can see when I'm looking at you, you can see that the color is above my crease. This is really good for those of you who have hooded and deep set eyes and don't have a lot of lid space. I want you to follow suit. I want you to go all the way up to underneath your brow bone. That way when your eyes are open, you're still gonna see the color. And just so you know too, now when we go in and we do the crease color and all those other things, we're gonna go above this line so our eyes are still looking big and open. Something that I didn't mention that I just wanna point out right here, I did already prime my eyelid with my concealer. That's all that I have on. I don't really use eyeshadow primer. I don't think it's necessary, especially when you're working with colors that are pigmented and you have a really good concealer. Your concealer is gonna do the same thing for you. So if you don't have an eyeshadow primer, don't go out and buy one. The next thing I wanna do is take Pretty Flower, and I'm going to take a blending crease brush. This is C511 from Crown. Got a nice tapered point to it. And what I'm going to do with that Pretty Flower, I want to put right above the color I just put on my lid. So I'm going to load up my brush, dab the excess onto my tissue, and then keeping my eye open. This is very important. Always recommend keeping the eye open when you're doing your makeup so you can really see where you're placing your product. So I'm going to look straight into my mirror with my eyes open. And like I said, I want this color to go right above where I did on my eyelid, which is gonna go right into the socket of your eye. It's gonna overlap into the socket, but also a little bit onto your brow bone with this placement. This is also a place where your transition color can go. We're going a little backwards and we're just using it to contour the eye. Now, something I want you to keep in mind, and I'm gonna talk about this a lot when it comes to brushes. I want you to hold the brush further down, especially if you're new to makeup and you tend to be a little bit more heavy-handed. To know if you're heavy-handed would mean that you pick up a lot of product and you tend to get a lot of product right onto your face. And sometimes you get a lot of fallout. That can mean that you're heavy-handed. I'm heavy-handed. It happens to me all the time. In order to combat that, to make sure that you get a really beautiful blend, I want you to hold your brush further down on the handle. This allows you to apply less pressure and you have a more seamless application. So pay attention while I'm doing makeup. You'll see how I hold the brushes. If I'm holding the brushes a little bit closer, I want more of an impact. But for colors in your crease, if you want just a soft blend of the color, just apply minimal pressure. Now I am going the whole way through. I'm not connecting on the outer corner because I'm gonna make that darker, and even in the inner corner, that's also gonna be darker. So my goal here is really just to create a halo above the color that we put on our eyelid. Now, this is a little bit too defined for me. I want it to be a little bit softer. So I'm gonna go in with a clean blending brush. This is a Crown C512. It has absolutely no product on it, and I want it to have no product. This is where you need a clean brush. So we applied with one brush. Now I'm taking a clean brush to do my blending, and I'm just gonna go over the edge. This is just gonna help soften it and give it a little bit of a diffused finish. Also, when I go in or later to apply my highlight, my eyebrow color, my brow highlight color, this is also going to help diffuse it a little bit more. But in case you don't want to put anything shimmery there and you want to just have your skin come through, just use a clean brush and blend it on out. And the reason I use a clean brush instead of a brush that has the product, because if I tried to blend with this, I'm just going to be applying more product, and that's how you get a little bit of a mess, and I don't want you to do that. I want to save you some time here. You've heard me mention halo eye technique a couple of times already in this video, and if you don't know what a halo technique is, it is obviously what I was wearing when the video first started. It's when you do darker on the inner and outer corner and brighter in the center. So if you think of a halo, how it's a nice ring, you're creating a ring around your eyes, which is also going to help your eyes look a little bit more rounded. And if you don't want a rounded look with your eyeshadow, just leave out the inner corner and only focus on doing this on the outer corner. I also recommend you leave the inner corner out if you have close set eyes. Close set eyes is when your eyes are very close together and you don't have a lot of space between the two of them. The reason I don't want you to do the inner corner for this look, if you have close set eyes, is it's gonna bring your eyes closer together. So it might not be as complimentary. Instead, like I said, if you don't want the inner corner, just focus on the outer corner because that will help stretch the eyes apart. Now when we're going in to create that darker and inner and outer corner, I'm gonna use two colors. So I am going to go in with Little Slinker and Hibernating. So we're gonna use these two, the purpley color and then the black one. But I'm gonna start with Little Slinker, and placement is gonna be super important here. And the brush that I'm going to be using is one of my favorites. This is such a good detailing brush. It is C528, also from Crown. You can see that the shape, it's very skinny and has a little bit of a tapered point, and it's also very dense. So because it is so dense, this tells me that it's going to pick up a lot of pigment and deposit a lot of pigment. So again, like I was saying earlier, for those of you who are a little bit heavy-handed, make sure you're holding the brush on that longer part of the handle and not so close by, because that'll help you control your placement. And of course, I have my tissue right here. So I'm gonna go in with Little Slinker, and I'm going in with the brush going right straight on into the product. I want the tip of the brush to be saturated because I wanna be really purposeful with this placement. Now I am going to just dab the excess onto the tissue, and I'm gonna go into my outer corner. When I'm doing the inner corner, I want you to press the color right here. And I do want you to bring it up a little bit higher above the fold, especially, and by above the fold, I mean right in this spot. And I want you to do that if you do have more of a deep set or hooded eye. Actually, any eye shape can do this. Just, you wanna go not all the way up to the crease. So you don't wanna go right up to here, right underneath the brow bone. You wanna keep it a little bit smaller. So I'm just recommend going about a third way towards the center and just slightly above that fold. And I'm placing it first, still pointing right at the eye, place it right there, and then slowly blend it on over. So you're gonna have most of the concentration of color be here, and you're just stretching it outward. And bringing it up right into the crease too. Got a little bit of fallout right there, so I'm just gonna shimmy that away. When you're going to do the outer corner, I want you to go a little bit higher than the inner corner. Going higher on the outer corner allows you to lift up the eye a little bit more, and it's gonna make it look a little bit more interesting. If it's the same height on the inner and outer corner, it's not gonna have your eye give a little bit more of a sexy look, as I like to say. You'll see what I'm saying. So going back in with Little Slinker, still the same type of application, going right in on the belly of the brush, the pointer, dab it onto the tissue, and then I'm going to press it onto the outer corner of the eyelid. Now, as I do this, I want it to go at a 45-degree angle up towards the tail of my brow. You guys, the more you hang out with me, you're gonna see me talk about this a lot, using your eye as a guide, especially if you ever do winged eyeliner or anything like that, cat eyes, you wanna lift up from a 45-degree angle. Because I tap onto the tissue a lot, you might have to reapply the product, and I'd rather you have to go back and get a little bit more product on your brush than apply too much product and have to worry about fallout. So start slowly, friends, especially if you're new to makeup. So we're gonna just press on the outer corner. We're gonna go up a little bit higher. Here I wanna go past my brow bone and my crease. So here's my crease, right here is where the socket is. I wanna go just a little bit above that. And I'm gonna close my eyes so you guys can see. You can see I went much higher than I did on the inner corner, and that creates more movement. So when my eyes are open, you can obviously see I get a lot more lift this way. Now I'm not gonna stay with this harsh line. I am gonna blend it over, and to blend it, you can use the same brush if you want, but if you do use the same brush, definitely wipe off any of that excess so you don't get too much product on. When you have less product and you're working with your brushes, you have more control over the movement, and you're gonna get a more clean makeup look. So now that this brush is pretty clean, I'm gonna just stretch it over towards the center. I'm not bringing it down, you know, you'll never see me go back and forth. Not bringing it down, just going from the outer corner in a one-directional blend, blending towards the center of the eye. Now, sometimes you'll see people connect the inner and outer corner. That is up to you. I personally don't like to connect it because I like the center to be really bright with color. You know, especially I want to put, you know, oh gosh on top of it at the end. I want that to be the brightness. But like I said, it's up to you. Try both ways, see what you like better. I do know that I want to take this over onto the eyelid a little bit more, especially because I still have to apply the black and I don't want the black to take over. Just going a little bit deeper. And just putting it on right there. These are blending beautifully. These are applying very nicely. And if you do feel like, you know, you still want to do a little bit of blending, you can go in with the brush that I used or whatever brush you used earlier that's clean with no product, and you can just go over this whole thing and it'll soften up that whole area. Because I'm doing a halo eye that's gonna have some black in it, I'm not going to be doing a winged eyeliner or anything like that. I want the eyeshadow to really be the focus here today. But what I do wanna do is a root liner with my black eyeliner pencil. So I'm using Blindfold from Melt Cosmetics. This is actually a lip liner, but it's a lot blacker than most other black eyeliners, so I use it in my eye area. I don't think it is necessarily tested for the eye area, so I can't tell you to use it here, just as a disclaimer. But if you're like me and you just want to try things out anyways, I do it. So I'm going to take the pencil and I'm going to go up in my top waterline. This is a root liner. Now, if you've never done this before, this might look a little creepy to you. I know a lot of my students get creeped out when I do this because I do it so easily, but I'm gonna tell you a cheat. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna look pretty wide in the mirror, like make a funny face, lift your eyes really wide. Then when you're going to the outer corner of the eye, I want you to look up in the opposite, or what am I doing? Yeah, I'm looking up in the opposite direction. So going in the outer corner, looking up in the opposite direction, And as I go over to the center, I now want to look down in the opposite direction. So when I'm going in the inner corner, we're looking down. Now, if you're like, oh my gosh, that looks terrifying, I don't know how you're doing this, I hear you. Can be a little nerve-wracking. So what I want you to do as a real big cheat is take the brush that you use to apply the color on your eyelid, and you're gonna lift your eye up, and you're gonna go right in there. Now, keep in mind, I've been doing this for more than a decade. So I'm used to it. It definitely does take some getting used to it. I'm also gonna take the black liner and do my lower waterline. I'm gonna smudge it out with the C461 pencil brush from Crown. I like to use the end of the brush to hold my eyelid down. That way I don't leave a fingerprint. And I'm going right in the waterline. Now, I do want this to be a little bit thicker underneath the eye. I am going for a bit of a smoky vibe. So I'm gonna go underneath the lower lash line. Also gonna make sure this connects to the outer corner. But as I'm doing it, I'm going underneath the lower lash line. And then I'm going to take my pencil brush, and from the outer corner, I'm just gonna smudge this. Just gonna smudge this out back and forth. Make it look a little bit thicker. Perfect. I got that nice thickness. Look how, I love when I do black eyeliner because I love seeing the difference between my two eyes. Look how much more red my brown eyes look over here than they do here. It's a cheat. If you've got brown eyes, darker colors are definitely a good friend to go with because it just makes everything look a little bit bolder. Next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a little Slinker, which is the purple that I just used on the inner and outer corner. I'm gonna load it up on my pencil brush that I just used to smudge, and I'm gonna go over the black underneath the eye. That way we get a little bit of purple happening down here. Just going over it. That way it matches what's happening up top. We're gonna have the darkness on the top and the bottom. Now you can obviously skip the black. You could have just, just do this side, leave the purple, put on mascara and call it a day. But if you wanna make it a little bit more nighttime, a little more sexier, add the black and have fun. If you have more deep set and hooded eyes, and you like a good smoky situation, I definitely encourage you to do the smokiness under the eyes often. It is the easiest way to make your eyes look sexy and dark without a lot of effort, and it takes away from you having to worry about doing winged eyeliner on top, especially if you don't have a lot of lid space. Just leave the wing liner out and focus on the bottom, which is pretty much what we're doing here today. Speaking of my deep set and hooded eye friends, if you've got small eyelids, you need this brush from Crown. This is a short handle brush. As you can see, it's pretty tiny. It is C149, and it is the perfect shape for what we're about to do. So with the halo eye, to really get the definition, you have an outer color and then you have an even darker color. So this purple is the outer, which was Little Slinker, and now we're gonna go in with Hibernating, which is basically that black sparkly color. And we want to add that into this look. But black can take over really quickly. So having a small brush and being really purposeful with your placement is going to allow you to have more of that control and not have the makeup become a whole big black smoky eye. We're still going to have the purple coming through. So with this brush, going to, just like I was doing with the previous color, go straight in at the belly, load it up, dab the excess onto a tissue, especially with the darker colors, because they really like to run away on you. We're going into the eye. Now, because I did the root liner, the black is coming from the root liner. So when we're applying this, I wanna make sure that you get as close to the lash line as possible and get as close to the inner corner as possible. I only want us to focus right in this area. I don't want it to be blending as far as we did the purples because I want the purple to still be seen behind the black. So I'm really just gonna worry about placing this color right here. I'm not gonna go nearly as high as I did the previous one, which is why this brush is a good one to have because it is so small. If you're thinking of getting these brushes, I'm really excited to share that I have a discount code for you. It's 20% off, and disclaimer, I do get a small commission off of this, but I'm only going to recommend stuff to you guys that I really love. And I've already used this brush a couple of times, and you see I use Crown brushes often because they're so inexpensive, and then you get a discount on top of it. It's amazing. So just think, if you do want to buy something, it's just you supporting this channel, and I greatly appreciate it. Thank you. The discount code and the link is in the description box below. So still continuing with Hibernating and the 149 brush, we're now gonna go to the outer corner, and just like we did the inner corner, I want you to get as close to the lash line as possible. And I'm going on the outer corner as well. So I'm starting at the outer corner, close to the lash line. And the reason I'm doing this on the outer corner is because I really want to connect it to the black that I did underneath the eye. And just like the inner corner, I'm not going to go as high as the purple, but I am going to go higher on the outer corner than I did on the inner corner. If you're not used to using dark colors like this, definitely go slowly and press your product as opposed to swiping. So I'm pressing right here and I'm going to go up to my crease. I'm not going to go past it though, because I went past it with the purple. I'm going to keep it a little bit more contained with the dark. Now I'm doing these little C motions in the outer corner just so I can round this up a bit. And I know I want to add a little bit into the crease. So you see when I look down, this is a little bit higher than what we've got going on in the inner corner. But when I look straight, you can see it's just slightly lifted. And you have a little bit of darkness right there. Actually think I want to take it up just a bit higher. So that way when my eyes are open, I can see it a little bit more. I did not get more product on my brush. I'm just working with the residue. Definitely encourage you guys to play with the residue on the brush first instead of adding more. There we go. So it's peeking on through. And then I'm going to go in with the brush that I used to apply the little slinker on the outer corner, the skinny one, which is the C528. There's still, if you can see, some pink shadow left on that brush. So I'm not going to grab any more, but I am going to go over the black slightly because I want it to blend together even better than I already have it. I really like to blend, so you're going to see a lot of blending happening on the channel. I also don't want this to be, to me, this is a little bit of a harsh line and I want it to be a little bit softer, a little more diffused. So taking that same brush, I'm going to do little circles to force it to look a little bit more rounded. There we go. Now she's coming on out. Awesome. Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted. Perfect. Now I'm going to go to the other side. When you're doing your eye makeup, if you hear me telling you to do little C's or little circles on one side, do the same movements on the other. This is going to help you have balance and symmetry. So if you're doing C's on, this is my left eye, when I go to my right eye, I'm going to do C's just the same. Finish up this look, I'm going to take Oh Gosh, which is this color right in the center, and I'm going to pop it over the white. Now we saw in the swatch, it's a pretty light color, but it's got such pretty, it's just a pretty purple. So I'm using the flat brush that I used earlier, the C510, and I'm only going to place this in the center. Now I'm going to just place it in the center on the eyelid. I'm not going to go as high. Oh, this actually makes the whole eye look a little bit darker. Well, I guess it didn't blend all together. It didn't keep it as bright in the center. It's still a little bit brighter, obviously, because we have the darkness, but you see the difference here. It's a little bit brighter than it is right here. So because I did it on this side, I'm gonna go ahead and do it on this side. Try both things. You might want to omit the sun top if you want it to be super bright. I'm not gonna take it all the way up as high as I did the So Shy, which is the light color on the lid, because I do want this brightness to stay right there. I'm just gonna continue the Oh Gosh, dabbing the excess on the tissue, and I'm just gonna press it right in the center on the lid, not bringing it up too high. There we go. That way it still has, you know, the bright halo through the center. I am gonna use the same brush and take a little bit of that So Shy, which is the light color in the palette, and I'm just gonna pop that underneath my eyebrow because, you know, we live for a good shimmer situation. Oh, that is metallic-y. Now, once you put that on, if you want to blend that out a little bit more too, you can do a couple of things. You can use one of the clean brushes, or you can use the brush that you used in the very beginning of this look to apply the color in the crease. So I'm going to use that brush just because there's a little bit of residue and that'll help blend it in a little bit more. There you go. Now it just has a good fade. So I opted not to wear eyelashes, well, false eyelashes anyways, because I think that there's a lot of lash that happens on Instagram and YouTube, and there's not enough looks showing people how an eyeshadow palette can look without lashes. When you add lashes to a makeup look, the look becomes a lash look. And with these pretty eye colors, and because I didn't do liquid eyeliner, or rather a wing eyeliner on top, I like it just with mascara by itself. But if you want to bring the drama, by all means, pop some lashes on and have fun. When it comes to blush and you're wearing purples, pinks and plums are always a safe bet. And if you want to bring the drama, you can go with peach for contrast. I went with these two pinks in the e.l.f. Cosmetics Light Blush Palette. It doesn't have a name, which is a little bit annoying, but it was also like $6 for 4 colors, so you can't complain. And whenever I have a blush palette, I do tend to mix 2 colors together. When I talk about blush combinations, you guys are gonna see this palette a lot. This is my blush palette and my contour palette from my Pro Kit. But what I was saying when it comes to purples and plums, these two are going to be really good friends. I believe this is Plum Foolery from MAC and Breath of Plum also from MAC. So those are good colors you can go with. And if you do want to get a blush palette for $6, I believe it is the light blush palette from e.l.f. Cosmetics. You definitely have more play with lipstick. For example, if you want to do bold, blue would be amazing, especially if you do a really light eye with just Pretty Flower and Oh Gosh, which are these two. If you just use these two, the blue will be amazing. But because I made my eyes a little bit more smoky, I went with a lighter lip to balance it out. So I'm wearing Dreamsicle from ColourPop, and I know honestly this whole look is basically a ColourPop look, but you can also get super matchy with this palette and wear a purple lipstick. I was actually debating between this color and I think it is Men Love Mystery. This is from MAC. This will be super matchy, so it would be a really nice monochromatic look. So you can do that color. You can also do Chick Habit from Melt. This is also one of my favorites. It's a little bit darker, a little bit cooler, but see, still very purpley. And if you want to do a pink that's like Dreamsicle, but a little bit darker, you can go with, this is Bettina from Stila. Clearly I have a liquid lipstick issue. So you can see that's a little bit more natural. It's gonna be along the same lines of Dreamsicle, just a tiny bit darker. I would just avoid red altogether. Don't use any kind of color lipsticks that have any bit of red in it because it's gonna clash too hard. But if you're a little bit of a darker skin tone and you need to have a darker lip, you can go with Poser from Melt. This could be a good friend also. It's very dark, of course, but if you have darker skin, it's gonna look a little bit brighter on your skin tone than it does on mine. Okay, I'm gonna give you one more lipstick option. This is Viva Glam Gaga number 2. And if you follow MAC Viva Glam lipsticks, you know this is an oldie but a goodie. I actually wear it so sparingly because it's the perfect peach lip. So this is a little bit more peachy. As you can see, it's very nude, but the yellow in this is gonna match the purple really nicely. So if you do a winged eyeliner, dark smoky under eye, big lashes, it'll look really good. So do a nude lip like this with darker eyes. And if you do that, make sure you just go a little bit darker with your blush, make it a bit more dramatic to balance out the light lip. Let me know in the comments what you think of this look. And if you ever recreate it, please tag me in your photos so I can love your face. My Instagram is in the description box. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you coming to my channel and spending your time with me. You're the best. If you want more tutorials and makeup education, be sure to subscribe and ring the bell so you never miss a notification. I've got new videos coming to you every week.